What is the behemoth? If we go to Job 40, where the behemoth appears before Job 41 and the Leviathan, there's a reason they're mentioned together. But Job 40:15, behold, behemoth. We go down to verse 23. Behold, if the river is turbulent, he is not frightened. He is confident, though Jordan rushes against his mouth. So we go and look at a map. We see the kingdom of Moab. The kingdom of Moab is on the Dead Sea, and in this map it is adjacent to the fullness of the Dead Sea. And the word behemoth means the entrance to the waters, or the coming in of the waters. And so the Jordan flows into the Dead Sea, the coming in of the waters. And Moab means waters of the Father. And so, this is the explanation for the meaning of the Jordan rushes against his mouth. When a river flows into a larger body of water, it's called the river mouth. So the Jordan flows in to his mouth, right? The Moabites. If we go back to chapter 40, verse 15, behold, behemoth, which I made as I made you. And we go down to verse 19, he is the first works of God. Let him who made him bring near his sword. So let God who made him bring the sword upon him alone. And so if we go down, we'll scroll down. In Deuteronomy, when after Israel came out of bondage from Egypt, the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar, or the brook Arnon, unto the children of Lot for a possession. And so God has given Lot a possession, so do not bring the sword upon them. And we're told in 2 Peter 2:6, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with an overflow, making them an example unto those after them that should live ungodly. So Lot, when he separated from Abraham, he chose to go into the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, but and deliver just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, and seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment, to be punished. So Lot was vexed when he was in Sodom and Gomorrah by their wickedness. And in Genesis 18, when the angels came to Abraham, the Lord said, because of this cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because of their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which has come unto me, and if not, I will know. And when the angels went to see Lot in Genesis 19, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And so the cry that was gone up from Sodom and Gomorrah is partly from Lot, who was vexed daily by seeing and hearing what they were doing. Lot, the righteous man, Lot was of the kindred of Abraham. Abraham is the father of faith. And we're told that Job was a righteous man throughout the book of Job. And so when in Job 40, when it says, Behemoth, I made him as I made you, and he is the first works of God, Job was a righteous man, Abraham was a righteous man, and Lot is a righteous man. And God is the God of justice and righteousness. And so Lot is as is Job. And Job was written during the time of the patriarchs, during the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at some time. And, Job doesn't mention the Mosaic law, and Job is a righteous man, so we know the Mosaic law was not yet given. And there are other clues in the book of Job that allude to the time that it was written. But And so that's how it is that if we go back to Job 40, behold, Behemoth, which I made as I made you, he eats grass like an ox. He's the first works of God. Let him who made him bring near his sword. So the judgment was not yet come upon Moab. Um, and so if we go back, so if we continue, when after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed and Lot left, uh, went to Zor, which means little, and his daughters came unto him and said, the firstborn to the younger, our father is old, a man, our father old, and man, there is no, I apologize, and said the firstborn to the younger, our father old, and man, no, there is on earth to come into us as is the custom of all the earth. And man, know on the earth to come into us. And in 1934, and it happened on the next day that said the firstborn to the younger, indeed, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine also tonight, and you go in and lie with him. And so there's a reason why they're speaking that way, right? To go in or to come in, because God referenced the fruit of the womb, and they were coming from, Sodom and Gomorrah is in the land that would be the territory of the Moabites. And so it when Job in Genesis 13 and Lot, sorry, when Lot in Genesis 13 and Lot lifted up his eyes and behold all the plain of Jordan that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zor. So it was a fertile plain. And God referred to the fruit of the womb. And so the waters of the Jordan and the waters of the Dead Sea made it a fertile plain. So that water is life, right? And the fruit of the womb. And so, they spoke with understanding and where they were from to say, remembering that Behemoth means the coming in or the entrance of the waters. And so they said, there's no man to come into us, right? The waters of life, the fruit of the womb. So that's why they name Moab, right? Waters of the Father, right? And Lot being a righteous man, you know, that all things are from the Father. You can see the meaning derived from these things, right? And if you look at, the Moab and uh, water, the word, in the water, and behemoth, and the word for in the water, you can see, the commonalities. Um, you know, and the multitude make, and Job 40 talks about under the lotus plants and the cattle's and that. Uh, Moab had the mountain range of Moab, and it had the plains of Moab, which are, the wadis near the brooks of Arnon. The Wadi Mujab which is called now, is a biosphere, like it's a fertile area. So that speaks to the, the lotus plants and the fertility and the mountain and things like that. Um, in Job 40, in verse 12, it says, look on everyone who is proud and bring him low and tread down the wicked where they stand. And Sodom and Gomorrah, they suffered from pride, as when the angels came and they tried to have relations with them forcefully. Um, there's a reason why, Job 40, Behemoth, and Job 41, Leviathan, who at the end is called the prince of the children of pride, because, the Behemoth, God would send the sword upon in the judgment on Job judgment on Moab in chapter 48. The destroyer will come upon them. Woe and evil, for it is laid waste. The fortress put to shame, broken. The renown of Moab is no more. And so God will bring their pride low. Um, the pride, those who are proud and haughty will be brought low. I just want to share one last thing about again, can you draw out Leviathan with his hook, with his tongue which lets down? Job, he is the king. About the Leviathan, he beholdeth all high things. He is king over all the children of pride. In historical records, it's revealed that Egypt ruled partly over Moab, or ruled that area. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud of his haughtiness, his pride, his wrath. But his lies, we have heard the pride of Moab. He's exceedingly proud. His lofty, his arrogance, his pride, his haughtiness of his heart. So God would send Nebuchadnezzar the sword on both Egypt and Moab. That's why there's a connection at the beginning here. But then God would restore Moab for a time. But it's interesting that God says, Moab, God will make Moab my wash pot. My wash pot over you, and I will cast my shoe. But God, Moab is my wash pot because in Genesis 18, when the angels came, lift up his look, 3 men stood by him. When he saw him, he ran to meet them, and he said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, pass now, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray, be fetched and wash your feet. And again, Lot does the same thing. My Lord, please turn aside to your servants. I'll spend the night and wash your feet. So the righteous, right? So God will restore the righteous and bring judgment upon the wicked. And Moab will be the wash pot, right? The water, because Moab, the water of the Father. So who has spoken, who has revealed Behemoth that is Moab in the world? The world is all double-hearted, each one speaking lie to one another. Everyone bends their tongue and sends forth lies like arrows. You know, I hope this will bear witness of me, that I am a servant of the Lord Jesus Christos, to glorify the Father in heaven. And when the suffering comes upon you, you know, I hope you'll be moved to repent, to be witness of your shame, to be washed. You know, we're told that if you stop wickedness and do what is righteous, your wickedness will be forgotten. If you're born again of water and the Spirit, you're a new creation in the Lord.